What makes a good citizen? Well, that's debatable. Some say that a good citizen is someone who follows the law to the letter, while others say that a good citizen will question the law and ensure that they are always doing what is right. So, the Good Samaritan is a well-known concept based on a Bible story set in the time when Jews and Samaritans did not associate because, well, they it was this whole thing where they saw each other as tainted and bad, and it was just a big no-no. The story says that there was a Jewish man who was robbed and beaten on the road and left for dead. 3 different Jewish people walked past him and saw him and did not help. But then a Samaritan walked past, saw him, broke the rules, helped him out, and went so far as to pay for a hotel room, medical care, food, anything this man could need. So, basically, the idea of a Good Samaritan is the idea of a person who does what is right no matter what rules or social constructs they are breaking. Today we will be exploring this concept by examining a fictional character. We will be using the example of the Good Samaritan to decide whether this character is a good citizen based on whether or not they do what they believe to be right at all costs. The character we will be looking at comes from George Lucas's Star Wars. He first appears in the animated Clone Wars series, and though he started off as a simple side character and minor antagonist, he soon became a fan favorite for his wit, hilarity, ingenuity, and how he somehow achieves all of these traits while being a complete and total moron. A pirate who had enough skill and suave to blindside and kidnap a Sith Lord, but doesn't know what insolence means. The man, the myth, the legend, Hondo. Hondo first appeared in the Star Wars universe in a Clone Wars episode where the infamous separatist leader, Count Dooku, crash lands on the planet where Hondo's base is, and Hondo tricks him into trusting him and takes him as a prisoner in order to turn him in for a ransom to the Republic. So, kidnapping. Not a great start. Not looking like a great citizen right now. That's pretty darn illegal. But what's more illegal is kidnapping the peacekeeper sent to verify that you have said prisoner, which Hondo does, with the intent of ransoming them as well. So, legally speaking, he isn't looking like a good citizen. However, when his captives inevitably escape and the lives of himself and his men are at risk, he chooses the honorable course of action and allows the hostages to leave with goodwill to save his companions, and even begins to call them his friends, though they may not share his sentiment. So in the way of the Good Samaritan, he protects his own, even though it may not be profitable. That's a point for him, I think. So let's look at another situation where Hondo is the bad guy. Our favorite heroes crash their ship, like they always do, and stumble across some farmers in need of some help. These farmers grow psyllium, a plant used to make medicine, and it's very valuable. So Hondo and his pirates decide that they want in. So they basically hold the farmers hostage in their own homes under the threat of destroying those homes while they are in them. Oof. And in this case, he doesn't really redeem himself. The Jedi fight him off, and he runs. So, not looking so good. Not following the Good Samaritan's lead. He isn't following this example at all so far. Legally threatening a peaceful colony, trying to steal their only source of income. Not so good. Now, let's turn this around for a second. There is this thing that happens in the Clone Wars called the Battle of Onderon, or the Siege of Onderon. So Onderon is a planet being occupied by the Separatists, and the locals are rebelling and losing badly. But the Republic cannot get directly involved without breaking the law. So they call in a third party who can send less than legal weapons that are powerful enough to defeat the Separatists. And you guessed it, who agrees but our favorite pirate, Hondo. He agrees readily, but maybe it's only because he's getting paid, probably. So, really, he does the right thing, but he has to be paid to do it. I don't think the Good Samaritan got paid. So it seems that Hondo has a lot of run-ins with the Jedi. Is that on purpose or not? Most of the time, I think not. However, this next time was totally on purpose. Jedi younglings travel to the planet of Ilum to retrieve kyber crystals to power their lightsabers. Padawan Ahsoka Tano accompanies a group of younglings, and on their way back to the Jedi Temple, they are attacked by some who want to steal the crystals to sell on the black market. And no one is shocked that said persons are none other than Hondo's band of pirates. So basically, he attacked a ship full of children to steal their power source for their weapons that are a rite of passage, and has no problem killing said children in the process, though he would rather avoid it. Not really good Samaritan material here. As he says, his mood is based on profit. When he is expelled from the ship and sent back to his ship, he manages to take a hostage. Padawan Tano. Who he called her an ally at one point. Multiple points. Remember Onderon? She helped him out there. He was helping her. That's who he was delivering the weapons to. So Hondo is not really a good citizen to any degree at this point. He's a thief, a kidnapper, and only helps when it makes him profit. If he were in the story of the Good Samaritan, he would be the person who robs the man on the road, not the Samaritan. However, there is a bit more to this scoundrel than meets the eye. When the younglings attempt to rescue Ahsoka, the infamous General Grievous attacks the pirates' base on Flora, putting both the pirates and the Jedi in danger. Now, remember when I said he kidnapped a Sith Lord back at the beginning? Yeah, well, this is the fallout from that. They're attacking him because they know where he lives and he kidnapped them. So, yeah, not a good move on his part. So, in the end, Hondo not only allows the Jedi to use one of his ships free of cost, which loses him money, he even offers the children to stay with him under the protection of his crew and become a part of his crew. He risks himself and the safety of he risks himself for the safety, for the safety of one of the children, and all of the children at one point, and he seems to have bonded with them while fighting Grievous. Total 180. This may be due to the whole, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or because they rescued him, but he could have escaped and left them to die. He even inspired the children and encouraged one of them to finish creating a weapon that could easily kill him. Here he shows some traits similar to those of the Good Samaritan. In his own words, he finds his mood so changeable these days. It's like he has a switch that changes him from moral to immoral in a second with no warning. Another time when he proves himself to be honorable is a time when the bounty hunter Aura Singh uses his base as a staging ground to kill Jedi Master Mace Windu. Unfortunately for her, and fortunately for the good guys, a different Jedi comes in Windu's place, so no one is killed. Not only this, Hondo does not aid the bounty hunter, even though she is, let's say, close to him. And he doesn't hinder her either, but he does warn the Jedi of the trap and allows them to hold their investigation in his base and doesn't make them pay for the damage done to his hideout. Now, one of the last times that we see Hondo in the Clone Wars is when two Sith Lords land on his planet and gain the allegiance of many of his men, and a pair of Jedi come in on their tail. When our heroes arrive, he immediately provides them assistance, though this may be because he knew that helping the Jedi would get him his base back, and he didn't want to mess with the Sith crazies, as he says. It pays off in the end. He ends off with good terms with the Jedi, and he gets his men and base back. So to some degree, he's almost a decent citizen, but not really a good Samaritan. Now, the end of the Clone Wars is not the end of our interactions with Hondo. Hondo appears multiple times in the series Star Wars Rebels, but he is not the great pirate that he used to be. He seems to have lost his horde of pirates and is trying to survive the only way he knows how: general scamming and thievery. Now, I'm not going to point out every time we see Hondo in Rebels because basically the same thing happens every time. Hondo somehow convinces them to help him with a job that will benefit them in some way, and then they hesitantly help him, only to have some complication and discover that he has some hidden motive or secret. They still help him, it benefits them, and usually Hondo makes sure that they're okay. So he seems to have learned a bit by now that helping the Jedi and not betraying them is more profitable than not. In conclusion, Hondo does what he wants, when he wants, and only if he thinks it will make him a profit. His moral compass turns to money, but can be swayed to do the right thing when prompted, usually by money. He's not really a good Samaritan at all. He does what's right occasionally, and most of the time that's prompted. In Rebels, we see a bit more of him doing what's right because he wants to do what's right and because he actually cares for people, but usually it's not complete strangers. Usually it's the same person that he knows. So he's not really evil though. Like with the Jedi younglings, he talks big talk about, oh, we have no problem killing them, but then once it comes down to it, he helps them escape off of his planet and really helps them with their rite of passage. So he's kind of morally gray at this point. He has two sides, like all of us, I guess. And over the course of these two shows, he definitely shows us that he can do good, but only when prompted. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making it, including having to watch a lot of episodes of Clone Wars for research. So thank you very much, and see you next week. Recording.